Oh, my crew loves it. And we got laughter on the set. He might have handed the ball off the entire game, but the Belichick game plan worked to perfection. They ran it 94% of the time, 46 rushes, 3 passes. They were so committed to the run, 61% of their offensive plays had extra offensive linemen on the field. And so normally on these Tuesdays, I'd like to come to Marcus first and give him a crack off the highlight, but we must begin with the happiest man in America. Go ahead, Jeffrey.
It was glorious. All of you behold beauty at its greatest and finest. Quarterback should be seen, not heard. We talk about it being the most important position in football. Not so fast. We now see truth, and it is beautiful.
I'm so happy.
So good.
Did they throw the ball 3 times last night?
It was 3 wasted plays. 3 wasted plays. And let's be honest.
Our entire meeting was this, in case anyone is wondering. Marcus, what do we say coming out of a game in which the Patriots threw the ball 3 times and took over first place in the entire AFC as a result?
Well, being a former defensive lineman, I feel nothing like Jeff Saturday this morning. I watched the Buffalo Bills get ran through time after time. The worst feeling in the world in football is when you know what a team is doing and you can't do a damn thing about it. Later on in the game, Sean McDermott made an adjustment and started sending Matt Milano through the gaps. I was hoping that he would start doing that in the first, because when teams are lining up with 10 people at the line of scrimmage, it's time to play downhill. But what this says to me is the New England Patriots are clearly the best team in the AFC, because this is more of an impressive win than they've had all season long. Fellas, make no mistake about it. We just showed the stat about how much they were going to run the football when you beat the Buffalo Bills, and not only that, but to allow the Buffalo Bills to get in the red area twice and you give up 0 points. The New England Patriots are the best team in the AFC. I've been waiting to say it, and finally it's here. Because when you know a team running it and you can't do nothing about it, sir.
Such an unusual night in so many ways. And you were making the point earlier, too. It also speaks to the dynamics between the two franchises.
Yeah, I mean, the Bills are the little brother. Like, we all thought that they were getting better and they were going to take on this division and Josh Allen was going to be the reason. And maybe in different conditions, maybe that happens. But last night we saw there's no scheme for that. When the big brother says, this is what we're going to do, and they do it, and you can't do anything about it, that's kind of how it looked last night. And it's frustrating and disappointing, and maybe under different circumstances, the outcome be different. But we saw last night as one team smashed the other team, and they couldn't do anything about it.
Dan, you've been around the Patriots a lot this year. How did that, with that thought in mind, how did that inform what we saw last night?
Well, it's just, there's so much here. Like, Belichick is so game plan week to week specific, right? Like, he obviously knew the weather forecast and it was going to be windy. When Belichick gets off the bus at a road game, he doesn't go to the locker room. He goes out to the field. He and his son go out to the field and they talk. And I'm assuming that when they're out in that field last night, they're looking around going, ooh, this is actually worse than we thought. We were going to throw it 10 times. Let's cut that down to 3, right? Like that. So I think you have Belichick designing, but he's able to do this because he has a team that he knows the formula travels, right? His big guys are better than the other team's big guys, whichever line it is, offensive line or defensive line. So we're going to control the trenches. We're going to be able to run the ball. We want to run heavy game plan. We know we can succeed doing that. And I think that's why he's so enjoying himself this year, is this has come together in his mold.
You know what I think happened was he turned to his son, and his son Steve said to him, Dad, in Monday Countdown, Shefty got blown out of a chair. the wind actually blew Adam Schefter out of a chair.
And it's blowing Steve's mullet around.
And Bill said, all right, we're not throwing the ball. I want to ask Jeff a serious and impossible to answer granted question. Some games are just decided by the weather. Like, obviously, the game was completely a unique event last night because of the weather. Is there any way to gauge if that game is played under different circumstances, if it would be different? They're going to play each other again in New England in a couple of weeks.
This game is worse for the Bills if it's in better weather. And I'm just telling you, like, everybody acts like this thing was all because of 40-mile-an-hour wind. Don't believe the hype. Listen, they took Mac Jones basically out of the game because of the weather. If you can run the ball the way the Patriots did against the Bills and dictate to them, This is what we're going to do. We're going to line up 6 offensive linemen. We're going to come at you here. We're going to run power. We're going to run toss crack. And by the way, now we'll sprinkle in some play action pass. Now that offense opens even more. I like their game plan, the mentality they had, but don't believe this is just a weather game for the Bills. The Bills had this against Jacksonville, against the Colts, against the Titans. They have not answered the call when it comes to physical football teams. The Patriots are that team. Don't believe just because of the weather the Patriots look this good.
I mean, to the point. I mean, they gifted the Bills the 7 points off of the N'Keal Harry play. Outside of that, they only give up a field goal last night. So, Marcus, do we take away more about the Patriots or about Buffalo coming out of last night's game? Like you said, this makes the Patriots the best team. Why does it make the Bills?
It makes the Bills not the best team in their division. Okay, listen, what Jeff just said, this is very important because I love the fact that we have an offensive lineman and a defensive lineman. That is demoralizing.
Yes.
You know when the Buffalo Bills get back in their film room, they going to look at it and the coach is going to talk about fits up front. They going to say, guys, we got to be here in the right place. We got to make a tackle. But there ain't no answer for when people running through your face mask. And that's what was happening. 3 running backs running through your face mask. Thank God in not a malicious way that Damian Harris was unhealthy towards the end of that game. He might have rushed for 250 if he wouldn't have got injured in that game. But when you look at this team and you think about what Jeff just said, okay, a team came in. And look, let's not be fooled. The Buffalo Bills knew what the New England Patriots was going to do. They understood what type of game this was. And for them to come in and not be able to, from a physical standpoint. See, Greeny, here's the thing. You can fix scheme. You can fix fits. You could get guys in the right place. You can get safeties fitting in gaps. And a couple of those toss, especially on the big toss, the defensive end played it wrong. Later on, Espinoza played it well. And you see the outcome of that play. But this was lying down. 9:07 is a period in practice that we run, and it's about finding out if you're ready to practice or not.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.